Folks, I want to segue over to the last segment of the show here, and this is all about the vegan zealots that are out there. And I say that with kind of disdain in my voice, like, who would not want to eat beef? Who would not want to eat meat or fish or chicken or something like that? It's crazy. Anyway, plant-based diets have been debunked as bad for you. Let me just share a little bit of info that I came across, because I think it's kind of funny and it's a bit of a polarizing topic for some reason about what people are eating. I don't know why people that are vegans feel it necessary to tell the world that they're vegans. Like, who cares what you eat? It's kind of like your sexuality. Who cares? Do whatever feels right to you. But hundreds of scientists have criticized the push for plant-based diets, arguing that meat is essential. Hear that? It's essential for a well-balanced diet, and cautioning against vilifying meat eaters. That's what the vegan zealots seem to do. Experts behind 9 new research papers in Animal Frontiers have gathered nearly 1,000 signatures on a declaration emphasizing the value of red meat. Alison Stanton of the Royal College of Surgeons of Ireland argued that removing fresh meat and dairy from diets would harm human health. Now, I don't agree about that dairy stuff, particularly impacting women, children, and the elderly and low-income individuals. Adegabola Addison, director of University of Florida's Global Food Systems Institute, added that animal-sourced foods are superior to plant-sourced foods at simultaneously supplying several bioavailable micronutrients and high-quality macronutrients that are critical for growth and cognitive development. The Dublin Declaration calls for an end to promoting meat-free diets and has support from experts at top universities from around the world. Now, I don't know about you, Ed. I was a vegetarian for a little while, only because I just didn't want to eat meat anymore. I just felt terrible, and that lasted about 3 years. And then I felt like I was missing out. And then when I went back to eating meat, I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything, and I didn't feel like I felt any different or any better or any worse. I felt like when I didn't eat meat, I felt, here I haven't had a steak for a month, or I haven't eaten a sausage for 2 months, or a piece of chicken or anything like that. And I kind of didn't feel any different. I felt the same. But I found the longer it went on, the more it pulled me in my mind. Like, I haven't done it for this long. Now I better not do it at all. And it created this like devil and angel on my shoulders, constantly arguing with myself about what I put in my mouth. And one day I remember my kids were still pretty little, and I remember they were over for the weekend, and I took them home to their mum, and I stopped at the petrol station to put some fuel in my car, and right across the way was a fast food outlet called Red Rooster we have here in Sydney. And I was like, I could just smell the chicken, and I thought, you know what, like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I fighting with myself? And I was only really fighting with myself because I hadn't done it for such a long time. Now going back to it was going to be this taboo, evil, bad thing. But I didn't have any sort of zealotry around it. I was just doing it because I didn't do it and because I could. But then when I went and ate, I remember eating like a hot chicken roll and like breaking my virginity again for eating meat or some shit like that. And I like it. It was like, it's the most delicious thing in the world. But I remembered exactly what that tasted like because I grew up eating that food. That type of fast food was in my neighborhood, right? And it was like, whatever. But you know what? This plant-based diet that has been perpetuated, is in anticipation of the WEF taking over and you having to eat crickets and bugs because there's no beef because it's causing greenhouse gases, and cow farts and cow burps are causing all sorts of problems. I don't know. What a load of rubbish. What do you reckon, Ed?
Yeah, when I was a kid, they had the food pyramid, right? And of course, now that pyramid has been literally completely turned upside down.
It's been inverted, yeah.
Yeah, completely inverted. Remember when I was growing up, eggs were the big evil of our times. Whereas now it's like the centerpiece of every bodybuilder out there, or anybody who wants to eat healthy. Eggs are like the superfood, right? So now and it seems like every 10 years there's some new cancer-causing food. A common part of our diet, and then 10 years later, say, "Oops, no!" As it turned out, it really doesn't cause cancer. So the science seems to change. However, look, I'm a meat and potatoes guy all the way. I'm a meat. I already have my last dinner picked out when I go to prison. I know, I know what it's going to be
for exposing banks.
That's right. Yeah, but let's be honest. Not all meat is created equally. Buying a grass-fed beef steak in the grocery store from the butcher is different from having a McDonald's hamburger. Okay,
Oh,
they're
totally. Yeah, totally.
right. So just like with everything, you got to be a smart consumer. You got to think smart. You and I were talking last week, and we're going to be doing a segment on this soon, I'm sure. Is that the worldwide sperm count and testosterone level has gone down by half over the past like 30 years. And I think there is no way that our modern diet cannot be playing a role in that. When you look at the chemicals and the crap that's put into the modern dietary system, it can't help but be affecting our physiology. So there's so much to know. This is a very complicated topic, I'm sure, but people should do whatever they can to eat healthy. There are some simple things you can do, like instead of having a can of Coke, have a bottle of water instead, right? That's right. Hey, that's a big difference. That little difference is kind of a big one, isn't it? And you think about the sugar, right?
I find this subject really kind of fun to talk about, and I kind of wanted to close out the show with something a little bit lighthearted, not related to war or the death of the economy today. For every argument or every side put forward, if you Google it, is the carnivore diet good for you? There'll be like 1,000 articles and videos saying why that will kill you in the next 3 hours. And then there'll be another 1,000 articles saying why you should do that. And if you eat another piece of broccoli in your life, you're going to die like instantly as well. And it's like these people are like so high strung about what they put in their mouth and their body. It's like you're forgetting the most important thing. The most, for me anyway, at least, is your emotions are the most sophisticated guidance system in the universe. And nothing is easier to follow than how you feel. If I feel like I want to eat a piece of steak or drink a can of Coke, then let's freaking do it. You can't, you don't want to end up being 75 years old and die the healthiest person in the graveyard and, hadn't enjoyed a cigar or a glass of wine or, smoking a joint or something like that. You've got to live your life a little bit, and for some reason, people think, I was in the gym the other day. I'll close it out with this. I was in the gym the other day, and up on the screen was this mainstream normal stuff that people see because I don't see TV. And it was this TV show called The Farmer Wants a Wife. And I was, it's a reality TV show, right? And all the people there are not perfect. Like, she was a little bit kind of chubby. He wasn't the best looking sort of dude. He was a bit rough around the edges. She seemed like she had a bit of a foul mouth. And I thought, no, they're just normal people. And we're so used to looking at people that look like models on Instagram that's not the real world. The people that I was watching on the TV in the gym, and The Farmer Wants a Wife, they were real people. They were living their lives. They were enjoying themselves. They were having a glass of wine. He was smoking a cigarette. He didn't give a shit, right? And all these things that were happening there. And I thought, you got to live your life. You can't worry about all of these studies coming out and saying that this is good or bad. Take it with a grain of salt is the way that I say.
Yeah. And let's face it, when you have a girlfriend, you tend to eat better, right? Just because you got someone to look good for at the end of the day. So I don't know where that came from.